Welcome to AI for Good, the leading, action-oriented, global and inclusive United Nations platform on AI. Organized by the International Telecommunication Union, the United Nations Agency for Digital Technologies, in partnership with 50+ UN sister organizations and co-convened with Switzerland. The goal of AI for Good is to unlock AI's potential to serve humanity. In today's AI for Good event, we are counting on you to use the live video wall feature to ask questions and post comments to help create an engaging discussion. We encourage you to stay until the end to chat, connect, ask questions, and network with our distinguished facilitators and world-class AI experts in the neural network. It is now time to kick off the session and welcome our first speaker. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to all participants joining us worldwide. It's a pleasure to open today's session on the GenAI for Good challenge, partnering to advance open source generative AI for local and global impact. At ITU, our mission has always been to connect the world, not only through networks and infrastructures, but also through knowledge, collaboration, and innovation. Under the AI for Good initiative, we've been fostering partnerships that bring together governments, industry, academia, and communities to ensure that artificial intelligence serves everyone and everywhere. Today's webinar exemplifies that spirit. Together with IEEE Humanitarian Technologies, we are indeed launching a new and exciting chapter where open innovation meets real-world needs, from health to agriculture and climate resilience. The GenAI for Good challenge will enable innovators across the globe to design and test solutions that address local priorities while contributing to global learning and shared frameworks for responsible artificial intelligence. With that, it is my great pleasure to pass the floor to Mariela Machado from IEEE Humanitarian Technologies, who will introduce the IEEE's role and share more about the challenge itself. Mariela, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, David. My name is Mariela Machado Fantacchiotti. As David mentioned, I'm Senior Director for Humanitarian Technologies and Tech for Good at IEEE. A bit more context about who we are, in case you don't know us yet, and I'm sharing my screen quickly to show you a couple of slides so that it's easier to understand. IEEE, it stands for the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. We are the largest engineering society with more than 500,000 members that we actually reached a couple of days ago. We are present in more than 190 countries. We also support, we're well known for developing standards, more than 1,000 of them, another around 1,000 in the works. We also run 2,000 conferences a year in all parts of the world. So we do a lot of things, including also transaction, journals, magazines, in everything related to engineering in the electronics, electrical, and computer science realm. But we don't only do just everything that I mentioned. We also run programs, and this is where we come in. We are IEEE's Tech for Social Impact Hub, the IEEE Humanitarian Technologies. We're a department that supports current initiatives and enables new programs, supported by a global network of professionals and volunteers working together to achieve social, economic, environmental, and humanitarian impact at scale through the utilization of technology. We also provide a platform for partnering, and this is where our GenAI challenge comes in. As David mentioned, we have co-designed this challenge together with ITU to provide a platform for connecting innovators and changemakers to real-world challenges. About the challenge, as I mentioned, this is a global initiative that we have launched. And again, the networks together of IEEE and ITU, are reaching all corners of the world. And we're hoping to provide a platform for innovators to put their minds at work and start creating generative AI solutions for real-world challenges. We have 3 use cases in health, agriculture, and climate, and I will speak to them in a second. But before we go to that, I just want to mention why this challenge is unique and why we're so excited for this partnership that we'll be speaking a little more about during the webinar. First, we're identifying real-world problems through access to these use cases that have been identified by UN agencies on the ground and ITU, together with government agencies. And you will be hearing from some of them today during the panel discussion. Second, we have open frameworks where we continue to build knowledge through GenAI, and David will speak more about this open source generative AI solutions that are built to rapidly prototype, iterate, and deploy tools that improve lives on the ground. And finally, you will be part of a cohort of innovators that will get also a cash prize and the possibility to actually pilot your solution on the ground in the countries that we have here on the screen. The focus areas and the use cases are in these use cases, and we'll go into all of them, but we have agriculture in Lesotho, health in the Gambia, and climate in Bangladesh. For some of this, the challenges include the chatbots and AI-powered solutions that will support extension agriculture workers in Lesotho, the prevention for clients of non-communicable diseases, and extreme weather advisor for smallholder farmers in Bangladesh. So having said this, and I just want to transition, given that we are, as I mentioned, we have mentioned before, we have been designing and driving this partnership together with IEEE. Let me now pass it to David so that we start discussing a little more on the nuances of the topic of this panel and why these partnerships are so relevant to advance generative AI for the good of humanity. Let me pass it to you, David, on why this is important for ITU.
Thank you very much, Mariela. Very interesting indeed. Partnerships like this one are essential to make technology such as generative AI truly inclusive and impactful. ITU plays a unique role, convening across the UN system because we are connecting policymakers, technologists, and innovators. Through initiatives like this GenAI challenge, we ensure that emerging technologies are not driven solely by commercial interest, but also first and foremost by the needs of people and communities. Working with IEEE is a way for us to combine complementary strengths. We, as ITU, we are multilateral and can reach out to a number of countries and policymakers. We provide policy frameworks. And with IEEE's, it's very interesting because you have deep technical expertise and global innovation network. So together, we believe we can accelerate the responsible development, deployment, and use of generative AI while keeping it open, responsible, and accessible to all. But Mariela, how about IEEE? Why is this initiative relevant for you too?
Yeah, David, I mean, for IEEE and humanitarian technologies, these partnerships is highly relevant to what we're trying to do and trying to focus on and our mission at large. Our goal is really to create an enabling environment where generative AI solutions can truly succeed and remain sustainable. So we're trying to create that space together with ITU. So not only for the winning teams but also for the participants who can contribute to ideas and also contribute to the knowledge through the open source frameworks that, we have mentioned a couple of times. We're doing this by developing this testbed together with ITU that has been working on this for a while, which is why for us it's so important to put also, as David is saying, our resources together so that we clearly define a use case and designate also owners for that solution for the handover. This structure ensures that continuity, maintenance, and real world application. We don't want to replicate the mistakes of the past, with digital solutions not being able to thrive and continue given the lack of digital capacity on maintenance. So we're trying to infuse that in the challenge so that the winning teams and also the participants can have that infrastructure. And we are building knowledge by also expanding, again, that open source frameworks. I have mentioned this a couple of times because it's very relevant to a world where generative AI is really driven by profit at this point. So we really need to come together, organizations, especially like IEEE and ITU, to actually advance this for GenAI responsibly and for the good of humanity. At the end of the challenge, while the solutions are being tested on the ground, we will be developing also a white paper and an academic paper, and I'm just giving a teaser of that, to gather some knowledge and share outcomes and lessons learned and successes together with ITU again, and hopefully partner academic organizations. Again, these partnerships will help us bridge innovations with sustainability, ensuring that that impact and knowledge doesn't just end with when the competition ends. So David, then we have mentioned so many times now the open source frameworks, and I know you're leading this open source initiative at ITU, GenAI, that is even bigger than that. So why is this challenge so relevant, for these frameworks that you have started building and you're continuing to build?
Yeah, thank you, Mariela. I believe in particular open source is really at the art of making generative AI trustworthy, transparent, and adaptable to local needs. What we are doing with frameworks such as Genie.ai that you mentioned a couple of times is about to build the foundations for equitable access to allow countries and communities, especially in the global south, to develop, deploy, and maintain generative AI systems using open, verifiable, and inexpensive technologies. So Genie.ai, more specifically, is an initiative that took birth 2 years ago as a community-led development. It actually was triggered by more global considerations thanks to the Open Source Ecosystem Enabler project, which is looking to support our member states in their open source journey when it comes to developing digital public services. And so we decided to explore some technological segments of interest. And of course, artificial intelligence was one of the most requested by our member states. And so we've come up with this community. We had a first hackathon a year ago, and this led to some technical orientations of interest, especially for low-resourced countries. So as of today, Genie.ai is a community. It's also a reference implementation. And the intent is to show how large language models and retrieval augmented generation can be responsibly developed and used in an open mindset to serve those countries that are low-resourced. So this not only supports local innovation ecosystems, but also strengthens interoperability and shared accountability across projects. So in short, open source makes GenAI a global public good, and that is the vision we are advancing through this challenge. And Mariela, how does IEEE Humanitarian Technologies leverage this type of partnership and initiative?
Yeah, thank you, David. Again, that's why it's so exciting for us, the initiative that you have been driving at ITU and that we're now connecting to with this challenge. Again, we do believe in technology for good to be localized, and that localization, for us is very relevant because, again, the challenges that have been identified by ITU and the partner organizations that we'll be hearing from some of them now in a second during the panel from WHO, FAO, WMO, and also country offices is so relevant because they really identify that localized problem so that we are not repeating the problems of the past. I mentioned the one laptop per child, but we have many, many examples of technologies that didn't succeed, where technologies were really delivered to rural areas without connectivity, without electricity. In the case of one laptop per child, without the teachers even knowing how to use the computers, and moreover, ownership and maintenance. And I'm mentioning this many times because at Humanitarian Technologies, we're driving programs at the IEEE level, and we're talking about 190 countries. and for 190 countries, all these programs are very different. And because we're doing this challenge at a global level, we wanted to make it localized and put, the minds to the challenge of solving one specific topic to be sure that we are really handing over that solution. Again, for us, it's also very important the emerging technologies, with mission-aligned organizations to achieve true scale and put our resources together. We believe that we play a very important role, both ITU and IEEE. IEEE being the biggest engineering society in the world, we believe that we need to be there to support in shaping the sector and defining the future of these types of solutions to be ethically and sustainable. We need to test generative AI, and I think that's the bottom line for IEEE Humanitarian Technologies and for IEEE. We need to test it to solve local needs, because how are we going to do this with the technical capacities lacking even here in the US, where most of the solutions are being built for profit, again, and how do we ensure that we start gathering knowledge and get ahead of that innovation curve to leave no one behind? So, which is why, we're here. We believe this partnership is so relevant. We're all into this challenge. We really hope that we get a lot of traction, and a lot of building of the knowledge of the open source frameworks, and really 3 winning teams, 1 per focus area, because we believe that this partnership like ours need to continue to grow and multiply. So we hope this is an example for that. So David, I know we're almost at time, to get into the panel discussion, but just to close it out, what do you believe these types of challenges, are valuable also for the GenAIforGood, and the knowledge frameworks that you're building?
Yeah, thank you, Mariela. Very briefly, I think that challenges like this one are really powerful catalysts for collaboration and learning. They provide a structured way and a structured yet creative space where innovators can test real solutions, as you said, but in a real context, and often in partnership with UN agencies, governments, and communities on the ground. So that is really, I think, important to stress and repeat again regarding the GenAI challenge. And this is exactly how the challenge was designed, having 3 targeted sectors and use cases that are dealing with concrete needs from countries and with the support of sister specialized UN agencies on the ground, I think is really an enabler. So this, we hope, will help bridge the gap between research and deployment, turning the problems into ideas that are actionable tools and that could potentially improve lives. And importantly, this will create an open feedback loop, the lessons learned from the pilot feedback into the global knowledge base, strengthening policies, standards, and frameworks for responsible generative artificial intelligence. So in that sense, the challenge is not only about competition, it's also about co-creation and collective progress. So it's really important to stress that it's really a singular challenge that we are offering here. It does not resemble, I would say, past efforts and hackathons we could see, because it's a really long and immersed one into the country's needs with the experts, and that's really a chance for our participants. With this, I think we are about time, Mariela, so I would suggest giving the floor back to you so you can now open the panel discussion.
Thank you, David. Thank you. And I love that you said, moving from the lab to the world and actually having that structure in place. So now let's move on now to our partners, the ones that we have mentioned multiple times, the other partnerships that are relevant to what we're trying to do here. After this fireside, let me introduce you to some UN agencies and government agencies that, which some of them will be implementing together with us and have been co-designing this initiative with us. So let's do a quick round of introduction. And let me ask for all of you if you can turn on your cameras. And let me start with Dr. Nene Sala from WHO.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nene Sala, and I lead activities on digital health and innovation at the UN Interagency Task Force Secretariat for the Prevention and Control of Non-Communicable Diseases. and it's a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you, Dr. Nene. Now let me pass it to Mr. Kotso Moso from Lesotho.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mariela, for the opportunity. I greet you all and the people who are in this connection globally. My name's Kgotso Mosweu from Lesotho under the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Nutrition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kotso. And now let me pass it to, last but not least, Mrs. Mary Karema from Kenya.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, thank you very much for this session. My name is Mary Kerema. I'm the Secretary in charge of Digital Economy and Emerging Technologies in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mary. And I know you're in between meetings somewhere in the world, so let me just get started with you. I know you have not been part of the design of this challenge, but given your role at the government of Kenya in this very specific topic, let me just ask you, how is the Kenyan government preparing for generative AI in terms of infrastructure and digital literacy, and maybe how this type of initiatives and partnerships, how are you seeing this play out in Kenya, and why is it relevant maybe to start advancing this sector that, as I mentioned many times, is a sector that is driven by profit?
I was muted. Yeah, thank you very much. I think for Kenya, we want to proud ourselves with a lot of partnerships and a lot of initiatives that are going around in Kenya. And therefore, for how we are preparing for the open source and generative AI, we are preparing, or we have based that in 3 core pillars. And we call this foundational. The first foundation pillar is about digital infrastructure. In Kenya, around infrastructure, we are really expanding our connectivity. And through the digital superhighway, we are doing or rolling out over 100,000 kilometers of fiber. The government is busy laying up digital public Wi-Fi that is free for the public. We are also expanding digital villages or digital hubs where we want to expand connectivity and access to digital services, to AI tools, and the edge computing capacity. So we are really skilling the citizens through these digital hubs. The second pillar is about the digital public infrastructure roadmap, where Kenya is unifying the digital ID, payments, and data exchange systems under secure interoperable standards, which are very essential for scaling up AI-powered public service. So we are seeing an upward trajectory and more demand of systems to talk to each other, because Kenya is coming from an era where we were running silo systems. But there is demand now that can we be more connected? Can we implement the whole of government approach? And also the once only principle. And the moment you have authentic data, then the use of AI becomes a better implementable systems that will bring in efficiency, that will bring in, faster delivery and efficiency in service, in giving services to the citizen. And also under the DPI, we have the open source backbone. And currently under the auspices of the support of ITU, UNDP and EU, Kenya is putting up the Kenya Open Source Office, which is really the coordinator of policy standards and reusable code bases for AI and digital transformation. So for us at DPI, we are also working with ITU And we really want to appreciate ITU for the effort they have made to really make sure that Kenya is also in the front line in terms of embracing open source and also AI. The third pillar is about the digital literacy, because this is really the muscle for generative AI. And therefore, we have ambitious programs. We've started rolling out training citizens on digital skills, and teaching them on foundational AI skills. Because for you to use AI, you need to be fluent in AI. And so for you to be fluent, there's a lot of digital literacy that goes in there. And I've talked about the digital hubs. Currently, you hear about Ajira hubs, Jitume hubs, but we are going to unify this to Kenya digital hubs. And this is really the core and the support that we are taking training to the local levels, so that even the citizens at the local levels are well trained on this. On also under that, we are also doing a lot of governance and strategy. Kenya launched the AI strategy recently, and we are currently preparing for launching the AI policy. And I think with these governance structures in place, then I think Kenya will be well prepared in embracing generative AI. So you asked about how do we see these partnerships really helping in terms of the generative AI for good. For us, partnerships will help us to speed with accountability. We go speedily in embracing AI, but also accountability is alongside. Because if you use AI without accountability, then it becomes an issue. And therefore, open partnerships will enable co-development of solutions that can be used across ministries, across countries, while maintaining transparency, data lineage, evolution, and safety. The second reason why partnership is important is the local relevance at global quality. So by combining local datasets and language expertise with international standards and resources, these partnerships for me will produce solutions that are both globally compliant and locally impactful, solving local problems with local solutions. The other aspect is about sustainability in capacity building. So therefore, open source collaboration will shift the investment from license fees to local maintenance, universities, and innovators, where we'll ensure long-term self-reliance. Because, for example, in government, we spend a lot of money buying licensed systems. And when government doesn't have money, those systems get shut down. And therefore, services are curtailed from the citizen. So therefore, open source for me, generative AI for good, will come in to really bring self-reliance in our country. And lastly, it's about trust is a public legitimacy. So for me, open models, open evaluations, and transparent governance will foster citizen confidence in AI systems, and therefore partnerships will go a long way in moving our countries to the level that we expect, where citizens will be proud because services will be built for them and not for government. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Marian. That was really a lot to unpack in everything you said. Thank you so much for that intervention. It was like a small lecture on what a country is doing, infrastructure, digital literacy, open frameworks, together with ITU, the strategy, government structures, and again, the partnerships part of it, which is, the topic of our webinar that again will help speed the process of innovation. I think that really resonated with me, and the accountability that could produce solutions that are global compliant and could solve local needs. I will quote you in some of these things afterwards, because that was like really beautifully said. So just to pass it now to, thank you, Mrs. Mary, again, for joining us. I know you're in between meetings. Let me pass it now to Dr. Nane Sala from WHO and the Interagency Task Force. So given what Mrs. Mary mentioned, about the open source and the partnerships, I know you have been working in certain aspects of GenAI, and how that is intersecting with ITU and IEEE HT and the challenge. How are we supporting your work in any way, and what is your focus in the interagency task force within GenAI and everything related to health?
So, Chair Lady, sorry for interrupting. If you see me falling off, kindly you will allow me. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mariella, for handing over. So the UN Interagency Task Force is working with countries to turn principles into practice, and through its collaboration with ITU, it's helping ministries of health to build policies, support DPI and human capacity needed to use AI safely and at scale. But really, this is grounded in the WHO's work, where it plays a crucial role in setting norms, standards, and guidance, as Ms. Mary said, to support with some of these, support countries with governance, policies, accountability framework, and adoption. And there's several notable publications from the WHO, including most recently released Guidance on Large Multimodal Models, which is the first global framework that's focused on the new GenAI systems, providing over 40 recommendations for governments, developers, and health institutions. From transparency to accountability to ensuring models are inclusive and context appropriate. So building on this to harness the power of AI safely, effectively, and equitably through the task force's collaboration with ITU. Last year, we launched the report Going Digital for NCDs, a digital health business case, which was a key step towards building an evidence base for setting out the economic and health rationale for digital investment, showing that digital tools, including AI, can improve service coverage, reduce treatment costs, and strengthen overall health system efficiency. The report shows that even modest investments of less than $1 per person in a narrow set of interventions. In this case, we looked at telemedicine, mobile messaging, and chatbots for NCDs can lead to over 2 million lives saved and around $200 billion in economic gains over the next decade. And this is just a prime illustration that digital is not just about convenience. Rather, it's about saving lives and alleviating the economic burden of health systems. Through this, the task force is continuing to support countries to develop their own national investment cases for advocacy, resource mobilization, and to catalyze multi-sectoral action for integrated digital health service delivery to support the health system response, to ensure that innovation is ensuring health equity for countries. A clear example comes from our work in the Gambia, where the task force has partnered with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Digital Economy to develop the country's digital health investment case. And this is a nice example building on from some of our global work, where we are working in a country that is ambitious in its digital transformation goals. A digital health strategy doesn't exist, but there are frameworks that exist in the National Development Plan to support digitalization as a whole, where health is a priority. And there are policies that are in place and some that are awaiting passage in Parliament to support these implementations of these solutions. So just a sneak peek of some of the preliminary projections from this ongoing investment case, suggesting that implementing an AI chatbot, for example, that is supporting tobacco cessation and hypertension management could benefit approximately 1.5 million people and generate over 5.5 million in health cost savings and productivity gains, with returns of investment of up to 4 times its value over the next 15 years, which is remarkable. This is great, and we're also supporting the country with a roadmap for how some of these interventions could be embedded in integrated into their health system response to avoid fragmentation and really build on the country's national development plans. So building on this, the Gambia will also serve as a use case in the AI for Good GenAI challenge, which is a crucial natural next step in terms of implementing some of the recommendations from this investment case to having a real world benefit. So moving from the recommendations on paper to a tangible impact in country that will have benefit in health and in the economy, as evidenced by the investment case projections. And this is in partnership again with ITU and IEEE. And this challenge is developing a GenAI chatbot for NCDs. And this chatbot, we hope, will provide accurate, accessible, culturally relevant health information to citizens, guiding users on healthy lifestyles, promoting treatment adherence, particularly for conditions like diabetes, hypertension, and obesity. We know that we are off track in achieving our sustainable development goals, and NCDs are no different. And we know that we're facing a shift now in some low and middle income countries where NCDs are on the rise, and digital provides an opportunity. Digital, including GenAI, provides an opportunity to bridge this gap. For NCDs, this GenAI chatbot will provide several opportunities, including ensuring increased awareness of NCD prevention, particularly in hard-to-reach communities, greater equity in health information by bridging that rural-urban gap and ensuring quality of information, even to low literacy and marginalized groups. Early screening and intervention, reducing costs and improving survival, health system efficiency gains by freeing up health workers and reducing avoidable hospital visits, long-term behavior change reinforcement, and overall strengthening of national health system. And of course, empowering individuals and ensuring that they have more agency over their health and well-being. So this work really ensures that innovation serves health systems and not the other way around. And together, looking back at the full picture, this creates a full pathway from the global norms developed by WHO to country investment and investment cases and practical application through our collaborations with ITU, led by the task force, ensuring that every technological leap translates into real health impact on the ground. And with that, I close and hand back over.
Thank you, Dr. Nene. Also, super inspiring. And again, that innovation serves the health systems and not the other way around. I think that, also a quote that I will be sure to mention a couple of times. I just wanted to highlight again, that I didn't mention at the beginning. I just wanted you to speak about it, that again, WHO and the Interagency Task Force were part of the design of the challenges and the identification of the use case in the health sector. Again, in the Gambia, as Nene is saying, the winning team will be implementing and piloting the solution, making the transition to the government of Gambia. And again, all the data that Nene provided will be also kind of the baseline, where the solution could also make the case and maybe even prove some of this data, in another with another layer. And again, another great example of the valuable partnerships on how we are putting this challenge, and hopefully what comes afterwards together. Thank you, Dr. Nene. Let me pass it now to Mr. Kotso from the Ministry of Agriculture in Lesotho. You were part of the design of this challenge as well, but for the agriculture focus area, where again, we hope to deploy together with you and the ministry this solution and hand it over. Of course, in conjunction with FAO, which is another partner organization, the UN agency on the ground. Could you please speak a bit about Lesotho? What have you been working on with FAO on the chatbots and maybe GenAI so far, and how this initiative and this challenge will contribute, once it's handed over to expanding that work and creating a tangible impact?
Thank you very much, Mariela, once again. Let me start by saying that currently we are working with together with FAO and the ITU team to develop the chatbot. So maybe just to lay the background of where we come from. 3 years back, we developed the digital agriculture strategy, which amongst other many issues that were detailed in it, we have identified the gaps within the ministry and especially data gaps. And now we needed to resolve or to bring up the solutions on how best we can work on resolving the data challenges within the ministry. As we know that without validated data, it's a little bit difficult to make robust decisions. So that is whereby amongst the discoveries, we realized that as a country, one of the key things that we need to look into also in as a move to put in place or deploy the agricultural strategy was to empower the extension services. I think you all know that any country or any wealthy or a well-off country is named that because of having a sufficiency of food, or in the technical term they call it food secure. So for us as a country to have to be food secure, one of the key things that we needed to invest much on is the extension services. Not only that, also we should invest massively on the farmers. So that is where we developed, or we came up with the model or the thinking of deploying the AI chatbot. I think at this juncture, allow me to just highlight what caused us to get to the thinking of bringing in the chatbot. There are a number of challenges that we have been facing as the Agriculture Ministry, particularly the issue of institutional structure, which goes along with human capacity. There's quite a limited extension staff within the ministry, especially at the grassroots. We are talking of the agricultural assistants down there at the ground. So having a shortage of staff there, that says in terms of advisory, it is not going to be possible for us to reach our farmers as in when they need assistance. Again, we talk to the issue of once we have limited staff, that says their workload is they are going to be overstretched, and by so doing that, it means we are making it even more difficult for our extension officers to outreach or to reach every farmer on time. Again, let's talk to the issue of information. Our farmers are running scarcely in terms of information. They lack information. One reason being the issue of limited extension services. Again, number two being the platforms or the mediums that can be used to disseminate information to them at the right time. So that is one of the other issues that we have come across when checking the gaps that we have within the agriculture sector. Again, now that a lot of people are into technology, are into using internet, you will find that there is a lot of junk information that our people are able to access from different mediums of communication. And that being the case, we found that majority of our farmers practiced the bad way of farming due to some of the unvetted or unvalidated information that they access elsewhere. So that is where now we had to look for a solution, a robust solution that can provide instant, localized, and actionable agricultural advice to both our farmers and extension workers by using their mobiles. So now, after going for chatbot, the reason why we chose chatbot over a plethora of other available resources that we could use is that, one, chatbot is going to help us have the improved advisories. What do I mean by improved advisories? With the use of chatbot, that is whereby our people will have access to validated agriculture services, which amongst themselves including the information on agroclimatic zones. Again, why then the chatbot over many other resources that we could utilize? One of the advantages of using chatbot is that we are going to unlock the new values. What do I mean by unlocking the new values? Our farmers will be able to have the farmer, they will be able to have the content which is validated at the right time, which is talking to them in the language that they can best comprehend. Again, there are some technologies which are being introduced day and day, which of course we need to be communicating with our farmers. The likes of climate smart agriculture. These are the new technologies that are being deployed right now in the agriculture sector. So we need to be moving, or we need to be oscillating with the same frequency with our farmers. Hence why we saw that with the use of the chatbot, it will enable us to run in the same frequency with our farmers. Also, the issue of capacity building. We need also to capacitate both farmers as well as the cooperatives. Again, on the issue of decision making, like I iterated earlier, that without proper or data, it's not easy to make decisions. So now that we'll be using chatbot, we'll be having enough data or enough information that we can advise our country or our ministry to make decisions, knowing that the information that we have is verified and it's true. So getting now into the depth of the detailed why we want to create the chatbot. One of the key features that has to be seen on the chatbot is that it has to be a mobile friendly. We are living in the era of whereby people are everywhere are using mobiles. So what we are saying is we want to make sure that the chatbot we are developing is mobile friendly, and it will provide our farmers as well as the extension workers with the real-time localized agricultural advice. How? Through text and voice. Why text and voice? We opted for text and voice, taking into account that majority of our farmers are based in the rural areas, whereby a lot of them are not very literate in terms of doing the text, but they are using technology because they are living in the era of technology. Hence why now we incorporated the voice, because we know they can always do the voiceovers and try to share whatever information that they want to communicate among themselves as well as amongst the extension workers. Again, one of the key things that we are looking closely into in this chatbot is the chatbot must integrate official data and guidance provided by the Ministry of Agriculture. That is the advantage. Instead of our people or our farmers having to source information elsewhere, with this chatbot, we'll be able to provide them with information that is verified, again, in the language that they can best understand.
So, Mr.
Now,
Kotso, one more minute before we move into questions, and sorry to cut you.
thank you. Now, the impacts of the chatbot. One of the impacts of the chatbot will be universal access and inclusion. What do I mean by universal access and inclusion? We are saying we are removing the literacy barrier amongst our people. Hence, we are enabling all extension workers and farmers to participate using their simple, basic mobiles. Again, let's talk to the issue of a hyperlocal and timely advisory. We mean now that we'll have profiled our farmers, it means it will be easy for us now to disseminate the information or the agricultural updates to them in a way that they can best understand them. For instance, we'll be able to disseminate the meteorological data or any other information as per their different regions. The other issue which is of paramount here is the issue of feedback. Once we are using this chatbot, we'll be able to have feedback from our people and also from the extension workers as well as the farmers. So that feedback mechanism will be helping us to best do the robust decisions. Also, again, the last part, let me mention the issue of data-driven ecosystem. Here, we'll say we'll be able to generate valuable aggregated data on production trends and market needs, hence empowering the government and cooperatives with insights for better policy and investment. And having said this, of course, I had more, but because of the time constraint, allow me to end here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kotso. And again, it's so valuable to hear from a government representative, why this is important, especially for the farmers, the data, how to make sense of the data, that you were having issues with the data. Maybe you can get the data, how to clean it up and how to make sense of it. Like, it's just, a really important, you're making the case for why we're doing this. So I thank you so much for all the details that you provided. I just wanted to remind, everyone listening and everyone who will listen to this webinar that for each of the use cases that we have, we will provide data sources directly from the government. And again, the idea will be to actually train those models to become, as Kotso is saying, make sense of the data, to have quality, to be sure that we surpass the shortage of staff, Dr. Kotso, that you mentioned, the issues with information accuracy and localization. So all of these challenges, hopefully we can address, with the finalists and with the winner, hopefully. So thank you again, Mr. Kotso, for being here. And again, we have government agencies, UN agencies, nonprofits, and all together, we hope that we can make a difference and speed up, as the government representative of Kenya mentioned. So let me just share my screen super quickly before we move on to Q&A, so that you just see the timeline of the challenge. And again, you will be meeting throughout, the especially the second phase of the challenge. So we have applications open. We have open on October 7th, and will be open until December 1st. So you have, more than a month to apply. The finalist teams will be announced for the second phase of the challenge by January. From January until April, we'll do what we call phase 2 of the challenge. In that, we'll select 3 finalists per focus area. So 9 teams will move on to the second phase. In that second phase, again, we'll be sure to guide and to provide additional resources for the actually piloting and construction and building of the solution. And that, of course, includes speaking to Mr. Kotso and Dr. Nene, for example, so that you get additional information on who your end users are, so that we tailor that solution and make it almost ready for piloting. At the end, 1 winning team per focus area, and the implementation and awards will happen sometime, again, after April. We will have the deployment move on from April until the end of the year. We're still deciding on the amount of time that will last. But that will be in conjunction with government agencies and the UN agencies on the ground. Again, applications are open, so please scan the QR code if you want to visit. We'll have also posted in the chat our website so that you learn more. And now we'll pass it to David for the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Mariela, and to our panelists for this very qualitative and insightful interventions. I think it gave a concrete flavor of what we are about to address and what our applicants will find throughout the free use cases and targeted countries. So we've got a few questions that were sent to us. I would like to ask Mr. Kotso Mosou if he could activate his camera again, because we've got 2 questions related to Lesotho. The first question from Jacob Frost is on specifically, so it's a question directed to you, Mr. Kotso. With the substantial security implications of the food supply chain, how are you thinking about the security aspects of the chatbot itself to ensure it is protected and always serving the interests of Lesotho and the country's food security? You're muted, Mr. Kotso.
Okay, thank you very much, David. I think let me try to explain the issue that the chatbot will be the platform that we are using to communicate with our people, and it's in 3 phases. It will be, that is whereby our extension workers will be communicating. That is whereby we'll be the extension workers will be communicating with the farmers. That is whereby farmers also can be able to communicate to each other. So in terms of the security aspect, as far as the technicalities in terms of security, we are having we'll be hosting it at the data center in the country, with all the security issues taken into consideration. Now, on the issue of food security, I think here I want to emphasize the issue of the quality of assistance and the quality of information that will be disseminating on the platform. Like I said earlier, we'll be ingesting into the chatbot the verified information. That is to say, of course, with the people who will be ingesting the information also into the chatbot will be authorized, or a few selected people knowledgeable in terms of agronomic as well as livestock issues. So in terms of food security, we are saying we'll be disseminating the verified information, which of course has got a lot of technicalities into it. We are talking to the issues of the pesticide or the pest controls. We are talking of the issues of the use of fertilizers, etc., etc. But like I've said, all the information that will be disseminated here will make sure that it's verified, it's coming out through the right channel, which is the ministry. No other people outside will be able to ingest any kind of information into the chatbot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kotso. Maybe I can add to this that we also are supporting the participants with a technical framework that aims to facilitate and support these secure developments, in particular with Genie.ai, but also with the tools, the very tools that will be used for open source developments, as this will be hosted by the UN source code repository that's being open to the public. So we will have a particular attention brought to these aspects. Mr. Kotso, you're becoming quite popular. There are a few questions for Lesotho, but I would like to just have one for Mariela, because I just want to make sure it is addressed, because that relates to the challenge timing. So Mariela, the question is, could you repeat or precise what is really expected on phase 1?
Yes, of course. So for phase 1, we're really expecting like a proposal of the solution that includes a lot of technical questions, frameworks, how you plan to improve what's already being provided with the framework. So a lot of reading, especially for the use case. And we have a whole repertoire of information that has been built throughout the years, especially from the ITU working group that has been doing the GenAI, but also the use cases together with the use case owners, FAO, WHO, WMO, and the country offices. So the expectation is that you do some sort of proposal of what your solution will be like, and again, that is not meant to build anything. It's like a proposal of the solution prior to the building. So that's what's expected in phase 1. And if you go into our website that is on the link, you can start the application so that you see you decide, if you want to apply or not. And I don't know, David, if you want to add anything to that.
No, I would just say it's like describing your idea as a startup. So you've got to come up with an innovative idea that demonstrates how pertinent it is within the targeted use case and country. What are your technical choices, and a number of arguments to credibilize your idea. Of course, we are not expecting any prototypes in phase 1. We are just expecting a documented submission through the system that you will find on the website, and that is to be done by 1st of December. Maybe next question to Mr. Kotso, as I promised. So there is a question on the business model and how it is being designed so it doesn't advance extractive business practices by non-African actors. It's about inclusion and your local ecosystem.
Thank you, David. Can you come again?
Yes, you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, the question.
Yeah, so the question is on the business model and how it is being designed so it does not advance extractive business practices by non-African actors.
Okay. Like I said earlier, what we are doing here, we are working with the ITU team. We are in collaboration with the ITU, the FAO, as well as we as the ministry. So in terms of the business model, we are not actually doing this as a commercial way of doing things. We are actually under the support of the ITU with their technical expertise. So in terms of how it will affect the other businesses, especially I think you said the non-African in some sort. Yeah, I mean, I think this one we have to be open. The issue of GenAI, it's an upcoming technology, which of course in Africa will be amongst a few countries that are trying to exploit or that want to be deploying this. So currently in Africa, I can't really say we have a lot of businesses that are much into the Gen AI. So that is to say, yes, of course, we'll still need some guidance or expertise abroad, of course, with the intention that they instill or they pass the knowledge to our African people, so that at least once we are through with this, we can be able now to support it or to further update it on our own. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kotz. So I think also what could be mentioned is the fact that the whole challenge is done open source. The idea is to come up with a truly open source and for free set of solutions for the targeted use cases in countries. And we are expecting as post phase 2, once we will have selected the winners in each of the 3 countries, that there's going to be a scale-up phase during which certainly communities will start growing around the selected solutions. And you can be assured that IEEE and ITU will support these initiatives such that it remains community-led, but addressing countries' needs. There's one last question I will take on me, which is more technical, and then we shall conclude as we are getting over time. So there is one question.
Can I mention one last thing about the licensing, just to be
yes,
sure that we are addressing that from
the,
just like to build on what you have said and to just be sure that we're clarifying that question is very important for us as IEEE. The teams must license their work under Apache 2.0 or MIT or another equivalent open source license. So, with that, we're really ensuring that the solution is open source, as David mentioned, and it's in the contest rules. We invite you all to also read them, because these solutions will be handed over to the governments and UN agencies, and for us that's very important since this is a non-for-profit competition again.
Thank you very much, Mariela, for this precision. So just the last question, which is more technical, which relates to a recent study from UC Riverside 2023 that highlighted that 20 to 50 prompt conversation with a model like ChatGPT can consume over 500 million liters of water. So so this question is very pertinent, and that's part of the whole debate on generative artificial intelligence and artificial intelligences at large to date. What we're doing here, and this is based on the feedback and the state-of-the-art analysis we've went through since last year, is that we've taken an orientation, technically speaking, that consists in using smaller generative AI models, but combined with retrieval augmented generation, so to make it possible to fine-tune to make sure the AI is able to answer very specific questions. So the bet we took here is to say that we may not need a massive general generative AI to answer all of our questions, but rather take smaller ones to address very specific questions that are within a given public sector. And that is an interesting approach to cope with the need for computational power and scarce resources that we may face in some countries. So to respond to the questions here, the intent is to come up with smaller scale but more specific AIs that can really address concrete needs of countries with low resources. Now, with this, if there are no further questions or feedback that you may want to say or voice, Mariela, I would like to suggest we come to a close.
Thank you, David.
So thank you very much. I would like to really express my warm thanks to all of the speakers, to our panelists in particular, with Dr. Salah from WHO, for Mrs. Mary Kerema from Kenya, and Mr. Kotso Mosou from Lesotho. It's been really an interesting and passionate discussion, and I'm really thankful also to Mariela Machado from IEEE Humanitarian Technologies to have co-organized this webinar. So the GenAIforGood challenge is now open for applications, as you understood from all these exchanges, and we really invite all innovators, researchers, practitioners everywhere to join the movement. Together, we will ensure that generative AI becomes a tool not just for efficiency or growth, but also for inclusion, empowerment, and sustainable development. So come join us, apply. You have until the 1st of December. The link is in the Neural Network website. You will find it over several social media as well. There is a very simple and efficient website to apply, so please just do it. I've been an entrepreneur myself for many years. I've been doing a couple of startups. I can tell you it's the right opportunity if you have great ideas for the good and for a lot of people. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing your creative solutions emerge from this global cooperation. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for participating in today's AI for Good session. We hope you've learnt something new, innovative, and engaging in today's event. We now encourage you to continue the conversation on the live video wall in the neural network. Here you can ask questions, like and comment, share links, complete the poll, connect with interesting profiles, or speak one-on-one using the chat and video function. We invite you to explore the lobby, try the smart matching quiz, visit the virtual exhibits, poster boards, the e-shop, and build your personalized AI for Good program. Let's shape the future of AI for good.